It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Stroud is set again. Oh, John, boom! Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Gets Benny in the car.
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt, extra pass. And it goes for the win! The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker! Kenny Walker! Touchdown! Spotty!
Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, ends up.
Yes!
Caught! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! They did it! Amon-Ra St. Brown on the receiving end!
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here! A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Anthony will be with us momentarily. It's a thirsty Thursday, but we're having some technical issues, which is usually a Monday thing around here. Not sure. Anthony will be here in a couple minutes. Pistons lose in Boston last night. Red Wings, believe, got their, well, I know they won.
Fourth straight,
yes. In overtime.
Shootout.
No, shootout, yeah. They need to just do like a 15-minute 3-on-3 overtime. That is one of the more electric things to watch in sports, is the 3-on-3 overtime. Because there was like 4 or 5 2-on-1 rushes last night in the 5-minute overtime. Just ended in overtime.
Even just a 10-minute.
Yeah, just
Not
ended.
The 5.
Yeah, a five and another 5 maybe. You just have to end it in overtime. The shootout, yeah, it's nice that the Red Wings won, but you got it. The shootout is not good.
What do they do then if it's just a tie all around? Just count it as overtime loss for both teams. Each team gets a point. If they ended up like tying after those 3-on-3 overtimes,
I guess I just hate
no one gets the 2 point. Like,
I mean, there's really not a comparison. People try to say it's like having a home run derby, or a free throw contest. It's really not. I mean, you know, soccer has a goalie. They finish their games, you know, in games that matter. You know, they do have draws in hockey or in soccer, but they don't. They also have penalty kicks in like playoff games or, you know, whatever.
World Cup games.
Yeah. I mean, they do them. They have them in every tournament game, but in regular season games, you know, they're not gonna. They just do a draw. So I don't know. Gary Bettman's not going to change anything. The NHL is going to stay the same for a little bit here, I would imagine. Still waiting on Anthony's access. This is not a typical thing. Pistons, Bojan, great game last night, but when you should go 11 for 29 from 3 and the other team makes 21 threes, you're probably not going to win that. James Wiseman made his Pistons debut. That was cool. We'll talk about that. I don't know. Has Sadiq been playing? Did he play yet for the Hawks? I think he maybe played one game. I don't know what the heck is going on with Anthony. I hope he's working on it over there. I can't see. I'm just continuing to talk until we figure this thing out. So the Pistons.
Okay, so the Hawks played the Knicks last night.
Oh, boy.
Sadiq Bey, 18 minutes, 1 of 4 shooting, 2 points, 5 rebounds. Only 1 3-point
We won the
attempt.
trade. The Hawks are a different type of team. Well, the Hawks are kind of what the Pistons wish they could be. Instead of, the Pistons going to the 3 guys that they have that are 7 feet tall, they just like to hoist threes. Like the Hawks. The Hawks that's just what they do. Collins and Young, and now they have Sadiq. The Pistons, they got James Wiseman the ball a couple times down low, his first few possessions. Those maybe are the first passes down to the block that I've seen all season by this team. But that's why they traded for him. They need a guy that can score on the block, finesse the other team, get some spacing for the shooters out on the 3-point line. Oh, maybe we're going to connect with Anthony right now. We'll see here. He just popped up. So James Wiseman, Pistons debut, that was great. Bojan was he's lights out. It kind of frustrates me when he has to be the ball carrier, but he was actually doing pretty well. He struggled early. He had a couple turnovers early, and then after that, he was I think he went 11 of 17 or something like that. He was great. Jalen Duren tweaked his left ankle. He sprained it the other day, and then came down awkwardly on it under the basket yesterday. I don't know if I don't think he finished the game. He didn't play much after that. Gosh, what is going on with Anthony? I'm concerned we might not have Anthony for a while here if his access isn't going to work. Oh yeah, we can also discuss. Oh, hey, Anthony, is that you?
There we go.
Hey.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can now.
That's weird because I can't even hear myself right now. That's crazy. But you can hear me. You swear to God.
I swear you're on air.
Okay, well that's a good thing. All right, very nice. Well, we're working. I don't know why that was. At first, she didn't appear at all, and then after powering down and restarting multiple times and then trying to connect, it just kept saying timed out. But now I turned it off and turned it back on, and it automatically connected. So that's fun. How you guys doing? What's going on over there?
Oh, good. I was just trying to get through the segment while looking at the screen to see if you were popping up, looking at the camera, looking at the other screen to see if you were actually working on it.
There he is. He's here. I swear. You can see me. I'm actually working on it. There's only so much I could do, though. It's just one of those things where it's like, all right, either you're going to connect or you're not. If you don't connect, then I'm not really sure exactly what to do, to be honest with you. I was getting ready to call Albert. That's what I was getting ready to do. I was about 90 seconds away from calling Albert and going, Albert, I don't know what's going on here. Are you even awake at this time? Which he always is. So, yeah, what do you guys got? What else you got going on over there?
Oh, we just mentioned the Red Wings loss or win in the shootout, and James Wiseman's debut with the Pistons.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff yesterday.
And we compared it to Sadiq Bey's game. The Hawks
we won the
last
trade.
night. Yeah, we won the trade. He went 1 for 4, 2 points in 18 minutes.
I mean, that's
What was his plus minus? That'll make us even feel better, I bet.
I don't know. The
Sadiq.
Knicks won by like 15, so it probably wasn't great.
The Warriors have bigger problems and struggles, and Sadiq Bey is not going to be the guy that's going to fix that for
I mean,
them.
the Hawks. You said the Warriors.
Yeah, my fault. The Hawks have bigger problems than that. And if you look at what Trae Young, John Collins was on the block for how long? It still might be, even though the deadline's over. They have their own Bogdanovich. They have Bogdan down there. I just don't know how Sadiq makes them that much better. I really don't. Just like I don't know how Gary Payton II, like how the Warriors adding him whenever he finally gets available and healthy enough to play.
He's just a very
He's an important glue
guy.
Yes,
exactly. He's a glue guy. The Warriors fan base really, I don't know. They have a weird connection with Gary Payton.
Hey, Pistons fan base had a really weird connection with Sadiq Bey too. I don't think
not anymore.
They didn't.
I don't think that's gonna.
I think everybody
everybody
soured on the Joker thing when you're 1 for 8 every night.
You are a joker. All right, we'll step aside. We'll come back. We will talk more. The Red Wings. Hey, good game. Good start last night in the first period. We'll talk about that next here. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Do it for the love of money. Saturdays in February, 7 to 11 p.m. Winners choose $3,000 in premium play, $1,500 cash, or 1,500 entries into the February 25th drawing for a Chevy Camaro ZL1. For the love of money, $130,000 giveaway. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Bill Simonson here for my good friends at Bean Garter. Now, they're one of the top accounting and business firms in Michigan and all across the Midwest and America. They've also partnered with Dorn Mayhew on the east side of the state, and they are stronger than ever before. Just go to BeanGarter.com to find out more. That's BeanGartr.com. I also want to thank Tom Rosenbach and his team for their support during the Beat Huge contest from the fall of 2022 through the big game this past Sunday. We had thousands of entries all season long, and thanks to all of you who took part at thehugeshow.net, and we'll be announcing that winner during this week, and somebody's going to get $1,500 in cash from Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Garter. Find out more how they can help any business, big or small, all across the state of Michigan, all across the Midwest, and even coast to coast. Go to BeanGarter.com. That's BeanGarter.com.
From Traverse City to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, you're listening to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. So great to have you riding along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. It is an absolute pleasure to have you with us this morning, and sorry for the access problems this morning, but we are live and kicking. Don't forget, you can text the keyword Sports Radio, send that to 21,000, Sports Radio to 21000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176, 248-951-2176. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros, and of course, good morning to our television audience as well on BCSN and streaming live all across the world on YouTube at Michigan Sports Network. Just click our page there to be able to watch along with us. Find us individually on Twitter. Danny Cahalan is at Dan in the studio. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. And I'm Anthony Bellino at AEC Bellino. All right, last night, Red Wings went to Edmonton. Really thought that, hey, by the time I go to bed, we're going to be just fine. No problem whatsoever. Wings were up 2-0. Everything was going to be great. Everything's grand. And then it was 4-2 at the end of 2, so you still feel great. And then the third period happens. And look, this is an Edmonton team that is, sort of, they're battling right there with the Seattle Kraken for that final divisional spot for the playoffs in the Pacific, right? And they've got 66 points, tied with Seattle through 30 games. So this was a much bigger test, a better test for the Detroit Red Wings after a couple wins against Vancouver and Calgary. Yes, they were good wins. I'm happy that the Red Wings had won, but my biggest question was, well, look at where everybody's kind of sitting at in the standings, right? That's the question. Where is everybody at? Because Vancouver and Calgary are very much kind of like where Detroit is at as far as how their season has gone. Similar wins and losses. Calgary has 18 losses. Vancouver has 30 losses against 21 wins. So they're right there. Calgary's got 25 wins. Detroit has 25 wins, right? So you beat teams that are right about kind of where you are at, but how are you going to play against a team like Edmonton? And it's a nice little trip there, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. It's really nice to be able to get up there and be able to see the Northwest Pacific area and be able to travel across Saskatchewan and enjoy yourself the Canadian border. Hopefully you got some maple syrup with some Dubs, and that's exactly what happened. So good for Detroit. This is a good win. Don't like the fact that it had to go to a shootout. That makes me a little uncomfortable. But then again, when you're taking on guys like Leon Draisaitl, like these things happen. It's Edmonton. They're fighting. They're on the cusp of a playoff berth. The Red Wings really haven't been on the cusp of a playoff berth in weeks, in months, from at least our perspective. And how about our boy Puce? Puce, P-Y-O-O-S, Puce Suter, with the forehand, backhand, magic in the shootout in order to get the victory for the Wings.
9 of 11 this season for Husso. For the win for Puce Suter.
Puce!
Does it! Puce Suter, the Red Wings, with a huge 2 points in Edmonton.
Puce.
They win it 5-4.
Did you see the actual goal? Because I'm going to retweet it right now, and I want.
No, I was on my way home listening on the radio.
You were on your way home. Wow, that's late.
I had to pick my mother up from the airport at 11:30.
Oh, exciting! Where was she at?
Florida.
Oh. What if she had tea and crumpets with my mom? How about that? But if you have the opportunity to watch it on Twitter, Puce just walks this. This is you think shootout, you think you think of somebody with some crazy fast hands. You know what I'm saying? Where they're just dangling. You know what I mean? This is slow motion. Let me just trot up here, just forehand, backhand. Whoop! This is a shootout goal you'd expect to see at a youth level. He got it done. It's good for Puce, who we thought was pious, who we thought was, however he was going to say it. It just turned into Puce. What was the other way? It was pious, and then it was.
Well, it was just Pew for a minute.
Yeah, it was just Pew. And after multiple name changes, this is where we this is where we end up. So good for now, just Puce, if you're ever wondering. You look at it. Forward Robbie Fabry's dealt with a lot of injuries. This team has dealt, with its fair share of injuries. Trying to get it at least to like 90% healthy would be really nice for this club. And look, they've strung now 4 wins together. Right? The Calgary win, okay. The 2 against the Canucks, okay. That's a really nice win against the Edmonton Oilers, only to turn around and go back to Calgary tonight. This is quite a stretch. A lot of games in a short amount of time. And the good news is that they are, you're winning some games right now. And that's going to be able to help you when you are trying to play such a rugged schedule like this team is, because this has not been easy at all. You look at this streak. They've played Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. They're going to go Thursday, Saturday before they get, and then have to travel from Seattle all the way across the country to the Washington Capitals. Like, that's not going to be easy at all. And that's a Washington Capitals team that may or may not have Alexander Ovechkin, depending on whatever's going on with his family issues. So it's really crunch time here, in the schedule. And a back-to-back thrown into this mix doesn't help. It's not going to be easy, but it does make it a little bit easier when you're riding a 4-game winning streak. If the Red Wings would have been in one of those, 4, 5, 6 game slumps, you come out second night of a back-to-back, you're a little low energy. That low energy turns into opponent goals right away. Can't control the puck. You're just floundering at that point. But don't look now, folks. This team has won 6 out of their last 8 and 4 in a row. Now you're coming in with a little bit more purpose. Now, if you're the Detroit Red Wings, if you're Derek Lalonde, you're looking at this squad going, hey, all right, here's where we're at right now. We're at 58 points. That's tied with Buffalo. You're 2 points away from Florida. I don't think Tampa's going to be reachable at this point. I'm just being honest. You're 15 points back. Tampa's not going to go on some epic slide. But, would you put it in your locker room, the standings? Look at where you're at. You got a little bit of a ways to go, but you have 58 points. Pittsburgh has 63, and they're the number 1 wild card. You're not dead yet. You're not dead yet. You still have a puncher's chance in this thing. And you look at the Islanders, who are ahead of them with 61 points. You look at the Panthers, who are ahead of them with 60 points. They've each played 57 games. The Wings have only played 53. You got 4 games in hand. You got 3 games in hand against the Capitals, and they're the number 2 wild card team, and their captain isn't with the team right now. I don't know if they do this, but I would be the guy that said, hey, we need some sort of placard on the wall with all the team's logos, all the team's points. I would literally put the standings on the wall so that everybody knows exactly where we're at and how much every single game means. In case you were unaware, when you drove into the arena tonight, you need to play, and you need to play hard. And riding this winning streak, I wouldn't be surprised for them to go out to Calgary tonight. 9 o'clock tip-off, or puck drop, by the way, tonight, which really helps all of us, especially because we got to wake up extra early tomorrow for a little remote. We're going to take the show on the road tomorrow morning, so that'll be exciting. But excited. 9 o'clock puck drop. Get out there. Play aggressive. Play hard. You can win. You got a puncher's chance. You're still not out of the playoffs yet. As doom and gloom as we have been, finally starting to get healthy and turn some things around. NBA fans, it's time to bring the hoops action to the palm of your hand with the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Download the DraftKings app, sign up using the promo code HUGE. New customers bet $5 on the NBA, get $200 in free bets instantly. 21 plus in most eligible states, varies by jurisdiction. Avoid to our friends in Ontario and Ohio. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in is required. Eligibility, wagering, deposit restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're back with more X's and Bros after this here on the Michigan Sports Network.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archived boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Share your thoughts all morning long on the Meyer guest line. Call 248-951-2176. That's 248-951-2176. Now, back to Danny, Ryan, and AB.
Back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Gay, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. We say good morning to you. We welcome you, thank you, appreciate you. And of course, we encourage you to join the program at any time. Text the keyword Sports Radio. Send that to 21,000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176. 248-951-2176. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros. And, of course, hit us up individually as well if you'd like to on Twitter at Dan in the Studio or at Ryan_L_Key, and I am at AC Bellino. All right, last night. Hey, by the way, shout out to my good friend, Mark Beyer, the radio voice of the Toledo Rockets, who was on Wheel of Fortune last night.
No way.
Yes,
that
he was.
is so cool.
And they even had a watch party last night as well at the Blarney Irish Pub. So they got together. There's like a separate room called the Murray Room, which is really an incredible space. Small space, probably seats like 40 to 50 people. TVs, its own bar in there. Like it's awesome. And Mark was on Wheel of Fortune.
We're gonna we have to talk to Mark one day. I want to know because if you're not a real Wheel of Fortune watcher, you don't know the nuances of how to win the game. And it's very frustrating when you watch people and you're like, let me give you an example. If it says things instead of thing, there's probably going to be an S on the end.
It's going to be plural.
Like, people don't understand that. After 3 or 4 spins, that bankrupt is going to come. So you either got to go light on your spins or start ripping. It's frustrating, man.
Well, they did
play
really
the
well.
N64 version. That's how I learned.
They won Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they missed the grand prize at the end. It was I forget what the slogan was. It was pretty tough though. It was pretty tough. And they missed out on a Mercedes-Benz, but I think they went. I mean, they had like 27,000, and the second place team had like 6. I mean, they were just mopping the floor with these clowns. And so good for it was a couples night too. So Mark Beyer and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Beyer, they took on Wheel of Fortune last night, which I thought was pretty cool. While right after that, because that was right before, right after that, the Detroit Pistons, they played their own games last night. They took on the Boston Celtics and fell 127-109. Of course, our good friend Terry over on the West Side, Terry continues to do his incredible research for the betterment of Pistons fans everywhere. Pistons loss to the Boston Celtics puts them in last place in the Eastern Conference with a record of 15-44, which projects to a season-ending 21-61. I feel like they've been sitting at that 21-61 mark for quite some time. And last night was the debut of James Wiseman, who came in off the bench and had 24 points. Fellas, when watching this game last night, immediate reaction to the addition of James Wiseman, because while this game was going on, there was another game that was going on, and I thought to myself, wait a minute now. I might understand what Troy Weaver is doing. I'll get to that in a minute.
When we were struggling to connect with you, I said to Ryan that the Pistons made more post passes last night than they had all season.
Pretty interesting, right? Dump it down, get some touches out there, work it back outside.
Space the other guys are out. Who knew you could do that?
I would really, I'm waiting anxiously to see the day where Jalen Duren, and I know that it's not important for him, and so I really think that that's what's most important for him in his first season is that he's not like bent out of shape over the fact that he plays 25 minutes and only gets, three field goal attempts, right? Like that's not, I don't think that's nearly enough. I think they need to do more to get him more involved running to the rim so where we can really see his athleticism on full display.
And that's what Grant Long was talking about last night. This team doesn't have what he called a pecking order.
No, they don't.
You
They
know,
have no idea.
It should be, okay, Bogey gets these two possessions even maybe in a row. Like this is Bogey shots. All right, now we got to get it down low. Now we got to get it to this guy. They need to decide who, you know, the pecking order basically. It needs to be Bogey, Ivy. Then who knows after that? Right now.
Yeah, and I understand with the pecking order and why that would be important because you got to get touches to your star. You get your touches to your star, but that doesn't mean that, okay, like, you know, for instance, Danny said, okay, Bogey gets these two possessions if it works within the flow of the offense. Like, we want to make sure that our best player's getting a touch on almost every possession, unless there's a break and, you know, you can get a good look without him having to touch it. But at the end of the day, like, you want him to be able to be a focal point of the offense, but you want it to all work within the offense. And I struggle to see what the, you know, on a consistent basis, I struggle to see what the objective of our offense even is on a night-to-night basis. But I'm okay with, you know, Bojan is I get that Bojan is a great shooter. I do understand that. And he's been pretty fun with the ball at certain times, hitting step backs and hitting some very difficult shots. And he played great last night. 12 of 17. Like, are you kidding me? We just kind of take that kind of effort for granted because it's kind of what he does. 12 of 17, not like you expect to see that from Bogey, but you're not necessarily shocked when it happens, right? For instance, if you saw a 12 of 17 night for Killian Hayes, the internet would probably melt down. But that's never going to happen, so you don't have to worry about it. Isaiah Stewart, 4 of 6 from 3, 5 of 8 from the floor, 14 and 6 for him. Very much a third, secondary, sort of option there. Killian Hayes is what it is. He's playing point guard. He had 9 assists. That's great. Good for him. 10 points, 2 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 of 11 from the field. At least he made more than one shot. That's an improvement over where he's been. But he's been right around in that 9, 10, 11 field goals attempted per game. He just can't connect on more than 4 of them. And then you have Jaden Ivey, who struggled to shoot it from the long range, but was 7 of 13 overall, just 1 of 5 from 3. He finished with 17, 5, and 4. And just few too many turnovers for Jaden. Had a couple possessions, it felt like back-to-back that it was just like, oh, goodness. Slow down, young fella. And then you have Jalen Duren, who plays 25 minutes, grabs 8 rebounds, and only scores 2 points because he's just not emphasized on offense enough. And
he tweaked his ankle yesterday, so he was not healthy.
Not running it at 100%. If there's a way to get him, and Killian's got to be able to, and maybe it's Jaden Ivey that they do this with anyways, where maybe the first pass is off through, Jaden Ivey on the wing, and then you're running, Jalen Duren from the opposite block.
You know what would be nice?
Court.
It would be nice if Killian didn't. Remember last year, Killian didn't have that confidence to shoot like that 12-footer, and he would like be hesitant with it. If he could go in there with that hesitation and then just toss one up to Jalen Duren 3 or 4 times, that would be great. Because that's
like
what needs to happen.
3 or 4 easy buckets.
Yes.
Because, pass the ball. And,
get your defender up in the air, throw it up, boom.
Lights out. It should really be that simple. It really should. But maybe some standard post-ups, too, for Jalen, just to see where his development has come as far as his post-game and, what he's got, as the kids like to say, in his bag. But it was the first viewing for James Wiseman, who made his debut for the Detroit Pistons, and in 24 minutes off the bench, backing up Jalen Duren. He finished with 11 points and 5 rebounds, and he was 5 of 9 from the floor. And to be honest with you, for all the talk about, he doesn't play defense, he can't do this, he can't do that, I actually was pretty impressed with what I saw from James Wiseman. Late in the game, there was a situation where, James Wiseman is referred to as a drop big. And what that means is when there is a high screen set on the ball handler at the top of the key, right, outside the 3-point line, when that high pick and roll is coming, or pick and pop for that matter, when the screen comes, he doesn't do a great job of hedging on the ball. In fact, nobody in the NBA does a great job of hedging on the ball. And so he will kind of drop into a space where here comes the screen, whether, my teammate is going over or under the screen, depending on who the shooter is. He kind of drops to deter the ball handler from getting all the way to the rim. And there was a sequence of events where, he did a nice job in a couple of possessions, but that position, like that ideology of how the big man plays is kind of going out of style, going a little bit extinct, just because the guards are so good with the basketball in their hands in today's game that, if there is any hesitation there, it's literally one dribble, step back, shot, and then you just gave up 3 points. And it's like, well, you got to be able to, guard the ball until your man can get back, and then you have to recover. And if you don't recover in time, if you aren't getting help from the weak side, the play, that's all it takes. These are professional players. It shouldn't take more than 1 or 2 actions to get a good look at the NBA level. Like, it's a 24-second shot clock. By the time you get the ball over half court, you got 18 seconds. That's time for 1 or 2 actions, pass, boom, done. If the ball moves. Now, if the ball sticks and somebody's got that issue where they just like to dribble a lot, that's its own problem. But I actually really liked James Wiseman last night. Shout out to my boy Hammy, too, by the way. 16 minutes, 10 points. Come on, Hammy. 5 of 8 for the floor. Come on, Hammy. It's our guy. Big Hamidou Diallo show. Love that guy. Good effort player. Limited minutes. I hope he sticks with this team. Brings great athleticism to the floor. So I was thinking about the Pistons, and I was watching another game simultaneously while that one was going on. As my eyeballs are glued to the screen of the Pistons, I look over during commercial breaks or when a specific team has a possession, and I'm watching a little bit of what is taking place in Philadelphia. And you might be thinking, why are you looking at what's going on in Philadelphia? It's because the Cleveland Cavaliers were there. And I think I might have come up with something here. I think if you follow the path of what Troy Weaver has done and how he has built this team.
Stop it.
I swear to God. Follow
Anthony.
me here. Follow me here. From just a structural standpoint, you look at some of the Cleveland Cavaliers players in what they trot out there with Jarrett Allen at the center at 6'9", 6'10", Evan Mobley at power forward at 6'11". They do have Robin Lopez on the roster at 7 feet. They've got some big bodies.
They also have no one even close to as good as Darius Garland, let alone Donovan Mitchell.
Do we have anybody who's as good as Karis LeVert or Danny Green at this point? You know what I mean? Welcome back, Danny Green. But what I'm saying is that I kind of see a little bit what maybe Detroit is, kind of looking for in a Cleveland team that's 30-23.
Do you mean they're looking for Evan Mobley?
Uncalled for, Dan.
I'm just saying. Yeah, it's. I know what you're saying. They have tall, lanky, athletic bigs mixed with some versatile guards.
Yeah, and you could play people like, oh my God, why would you have another 7-footer out there? It's like you could play with multiple people that are huge. It's possible. Now, how do Jalen Duren and James Wiseman? Because there is Troy Weaver really likes James Wiseman and thought that he was the best player in his draft class, and he wasn't going to get the opportunities in Golden State. They needed him to, round peg, square hole, right? They needed him to be one way. You're never going to get those chances on a team that's looking to contend right now. And this was said across the board. The best thing for James Wiseman is just to get out there and get NBA reps, is to play NBA minutes. I thought that Draymond's commentary on James Wiseman was spot on. And I don't agree with anything Draymond says. So I had to be all in on that. But truly.
Do you see, just watching him, the one game, obviously I've seen him play a few games for Golden State. If he gets more patient with the ball in his hands, I see a little Embiid in there. He's played fewer minutes than Jalen Duren. Let's put it in perspective.
He's played what now? With last night's game, 61 games since he was drafted? Like, that's just not enough time. Just not enough time.
And remember, he only played like 3 college games.
Yeah, he was
before he was suspended indefinitely for impermissible benefits.
Which now became name, image, like this. Here's what Draymond Green said about James Wiseman.
To James Wiseman, man, Jimmy Wise, not an ideal start to your NBA career. I mean, not ideal at all. Being moved to the Detroit Pistons gives James an opportunity to restart that. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. I feel like in this trade, James Wiseman gets what he needs. The Warriors got what they need. James Wiseman needs to go somewhere where he can play, where he can get minutes and reps, and he's not expected to compete at a championship level. And he did that, or they did that. It's happened for him in going to Detroit, where you're with a bunch of other young guys who's going to make a ton of mistakes. And you just get to play through those mistakes and learn through those mistakes, because as we know in life, experience is life's greatest teacher. So for James Wiseman to go to a situation where he will have the opportunity to play and play through mistakes, it's great for him because he's super talented, super skilled, just haven't had the reps. Played 3 games in college, 20 games his rookie year, no games his second year. He's probably played 15 games this year of actual NBA games. Like, how do you get the reps? How do you see that picture that everyone wants to see, that developing that everyone wants you to see? If you never get the reps, yeah, you can watch as much film as you want, but you need the reps. And so, Jimmy Wise, good luck. You're a champion. And it's a lot of guys that have been in this league for 10, 15 years that don't check that box.
Well, yeah, it's just that's being very fortunate is being drafted to a championship-winning team. All right, let's calm down here, Draymond. Like, I understand that he does have a ring. I get that.
I mean, how do you get the reps, though? Doesn't that make you
You're not gonna fit in with that team when you have to. There's no opportunity for a learning curve. And
there was when he was there, though, Anthony.
But for him to be what everyone thought he was going to be, Golden State was never going to make James Wiseman the focal point of the offense. Like, they weren't going to, it's like, all right, let's feed James Wiseman 20 times today and take away 15 shots from Steph and Clay.
Yeah, that was
so like I get that point of like, hey, like you came in, didn't work out, and you got hurt. We'll send you somewhere else where you can grow.
Yeah, 61 total games. He played 39 games his first year and averaged 11 points and 6 rebounds, right? In very limited touches, but he was getting like almost 10 shots a game. That's not bad. 9.4 field goals attempted per game and over 52%, because a lot of that is, in the key. And then you don't play at all in your second year because you injure your knee. You come out, in this 22-23 season, and you've appeared in 22 games. So, James Wiseman, things are looking up. We'll step aside. We'll be back with more X's and Bros after this here on the Michigan Sports Network.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
We might have just come out with our most refreshing Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer yet. It's called the Essential Collection. It's made with coconut water and real fruit juice, so it's always going to have a real refreshing fruit taste. Can refreshing get any more refreshing? Yep, it can, and it just did. Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, made with coconut water and real fruit juice for superior taste. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, IRC Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
When you're in construction, you know that every minute matters and every dollar counts. You've got materials to purchase, employees to pay, and deadlines to meet. What you don't have is time to worry about your accounting, taxes, or ways to grow your business. That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is construction, our business is helping you run your business better. From tax planning, payroll processing, or R&D credit studies, we're here for you with concrete advice and answers. Let us help you build a solid foundation for your business. Whether you're a subcontractor, developer, architect, or engineer, of all the things you build, make your business the strongest. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online, beangarter.com. Bean Garter.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Good morning, everyone.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
It's a good morning. Wake up to a brand new day. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Vietnam.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Welcome back here on this Thursday. It is the 16th day of February, 2023. We welcome you back to X's and Bros here on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Kaler, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, we say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. You can text the keyword sports radio. Send that to 21,000 sports radio to 21000. Myers Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176. 248-951-2176. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros, and, of course, good morning to our television audience as well on both BCSN and streaming live on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. Add a .com to that to find our website. xbmornings@gmail.com is our fan feedback email inbox. And, of course, you can, I think you did I already tell you everybody our individual Twitters? Danny Kalen at Dan in the studio, Ryan Elke at Ryan L_Key. I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. We got a text here coming from our friend Freddie. This stretch for the Red Wings, the Detroit Lions went at 1-6 and then flipped to 8-2? Question mark. And should need this team to make a splash at the trade deadline, bringing in talent. That comes from Freddie. I think it's a little bit different because of what we had on the schedule. You know, Packers playing for their playoff lives, Vikings in the playoffs, Jaguars playoff team, Bills playoff team, G-Men playoff team. You know, so there were, I think the level of competition was a little bit different. I think right now we're seeing that the Detroit Red Wings are winning games against teams of comparable records, which is nice. I think that's a huge positive, which is what we want to see when you're taking on teams like Vancouver or Calgary. But last night was a big game because, you know, Edmonton's a little bit better. And, you know, you go out there, you take a lead, you're up 4-2 at the end of 2. You squander the lead, but the good news is you're able to win the game in a shootout, so that's a positive. So you get the points for that. You still have games in hand to, you know, teams that are ahead of you in the standings. So I mean we're not done yet, which is really nice because we might, you know, actually have some meaningful games in the spring, and that's about all that it's about all that we can ask for, right? That's what we want. You know, we can't. We can't, you know, take for granted that this team is going to be a playoff team, any of our teams. We just want to be able to play meaningful football in January. We want to be playing meaningful basketball and hockey, and when it's April in the D. And baseball, I don't know where we're at right now, baseball wise, because Dan sent was it Dan or Ryan who sent the picture to the group yesterday, and it was a picture of a Tigers player, and no, we didn't know who it was. Like, who is this guy?
Did it say? I feel like it said his name was Anthony Brown, but I don't remember. I had never seen this person. I'm, you know, and again, there's something like 70 spring training invites, you know, and 25 guys make the team, 40 make the roster, 25 make the team. So could be an A-ball guy for all we know.
Right. And,
you know, some guy they drafted late last year that have some upside. Who knows? You know, I don't know.
Jonathan Davis.
Well,
you said Anthony Brown? You were close.
It just seemed like a generic name to me.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis is pretty generic as well. So I don't know exactly. I don't know, you know, who he is, and the Tigers pushed it out there like it's like, oh, look at this, and it's like, well, you As far as what I'm hearing, to get back to Freddie's text real quick, and what I've read a little bit about, I've seen Puce Suter to the Winnipeg Jets for a 4th rounder. I've seen Oscar Sundqvist to the Bruins for a defenseman in Jonathan Meyerberg. I've seen Tyler Bertuzzi and Ali Mata going to the Edmonton Oilers for a couple players and a 1st rounder. I don't know if Ken Holland will make that trade, but there's nothing that's necessarily out there where, bring in some stars. Like, you're not just going to bring in some stars, bring in some talent. It's going to cost you. What are you willing to part with? Bertuzzi is a guy that his name is floated around a lot, but he can't stay healthy. So I don't know how he's evaluated on other rosters, because if the guy can only play 20 or 30 games a year, that's not necessarily going to help you. So I don't know exactly what direction the Red Wings will go by the deadline, but that is coming up soon. It'll be on, Friday, March 3rd, trade deadline for the NHL. So we do have some time. We got a little wiggle room there. What else is going on in the sports world? We'll try to get you all caught up with all the happenings. We'll do so right now in the headlines.
Big news.
I have a little news flash.
Let's check the headlines.
Nah, it's real news for once.
The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
Wings win in a shootout last night over Edmonton 5-4. Congratulations to them. Before that happened, the Boston Celtics beat the Detroit Pistons last night 127 to 109. Pardon me. James Wiseman's debut for the team, not too shabby for him. Bills' DeMar Hamlin said he meant no disrespect with the jacket. It's not the jacket that I'm necessarily even interested in. I don't care about the jacket. It was a jacket that had a depiction of God or a cross on it or something?
It was. There were some things on the front. Maybe people were, I don't know, but yeah, it said eternal, and it had a crucifix on the back.
Yeah, I don't know how that. I mean, you don't have to apologize for wearing a jacket, DeMar. You don't. What is interesting though, was in that conversation with Michael Strahan when Strahan asked him, like, "Yo, what did the doctors tell you?" And he said, after a long pause, he was like, "I'd rather not talk about that." I said, that's peculiar. We've got an addition. Former NFL coach Ken Wiseman has joined Alabama's football staff as a special assistant to the head coach. Is Nick Saban, does he just bring you to Alabama to basically like revitalize your career and then you leave after a year or two? It kind of feels like that's what it is. Jaguars wide receiver Calvin Ridley applies for reinstatement. I don't know. This is a suspension for gambling. You can't do it. You got to be smarter than that. I know it's a big deal. I know everybody's talking about it. I know that listeners, readers, writers, anywhere you go, TV viewers, I know you're tired of seeing the ads. This is a massive part of American culture right now. And ever since it went legal, I mean, how much money was wagered legally? How much money was wagered in the last month is something ridiculous. The amount of money that was spent on the Super Bowl was crazy, right? All for somebody to win $50 or $60 just to see their net total still be in the red. It just is what it is. Calvin Ridley's got to be smarter than that. You would be paid a guaranteed $11 million in 2023 as a fifth-year option from his rookie deal signed with the Falcons after being drafted 26 overall in 2018. But hasn't played an NFL game since October 24th of 2021. He left the Falcons 7 days later and said in a statement he needed to step away from football at this time. Focus on my mental well-being. Why? Because you gambled and made a mistake? That's your mental well-being because you're betting on sports using an app? Come on, bro. Be smarter.
It was only $1,500.
Only. The Chicago Bears have purchased a large plot, 326 acres in Arlington Park. That is gone official. It looks like they're going to step away from Soldier Field, even though the city of Chicago put together a monstrous presentation about how to keep the Bears there and renovating Soldier Field again. We'll lose one of football's old great cathedrals. And the district attorney has dropped the domestic violence case against ex-Texas head coach Chris Beard. So it'll be a moment of time. He'll probably get a year off, but he'll get hired by somebody. And Ohio State has called off a home-and-home with Washington for the upcoming 24 and 25 football seasons. The cancellation will be responsible for $500,000 in penalties under the terms of the contract, must be paid by February 2025. We'll step aside. We're back with more X's and Bros after this here on the Michigan Sports Network.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
From planting a simple seed to managing a global food supply, growing, processing, and distributing food is the backbone of America. You deal with food safety and labor issues, cost control, and not to mention Mother Nature. But do you have time to explore research development and biotechnical tax credits? Properly administer payroll for temporary employees. Ensure that you're operating at your most profitable? That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is America's food supply, our business is helping you run your business better. We'll assist with tax credits, assess your processes and controls, and so much more. And while we may not be able to help you plant your crops, we can help you realize a rich financial harvest. From the family farm to worldwide distribution of all the things you grow, grow your business better. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online, beangarter.com. Bean Garter.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros. So great to have you ride along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening. It's an absolute pleasure. A little sports talk this morning, as we do every morning. So thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Join the conversation. Text the keyword sports radio. Send that to 21,000 sports radio to 21000, or give us a dial on the Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951 2176 248-951 2176. All righty then. It's hour 2. It's segment 2, which means it's time for this is a good one. Who started at left tackle in 163 of the Lions' 172 regular season non-strike games from 85 to 95 for the Honolulu Blue and Silver? Started 106.
Dang, I wanted it to be the early 2000s. Glover. He must
Dan
have been
can have
interior.
my set.
He must have been interior.
Guess.
Oh, wait. Lomas. Duh.
Uncle Lomas.
I was, yeah.
There we go. So now we've had Rubes and Uncle Lo and Big Herm.
Dan and I heard left tackle, and we're both thinking Jeff Backus
Exactly.
immediately, and then you gave the years. And
Who
my,
played-
my mind went blank, so Dan can have both guesses.
Who played left tackle for the Lions for 200 consecutive years? Jeff Backus.
Jeff, back us up.
Man, that's not. Hey, come on now.
False start. 76. Offense.
Holding.
Tough times. All right, so I have a question, and we began to get into this a little bit yesterday, but I do have a question for the teams that are looking for a quarterback. Would you rather have Derek Carr, who is available, who, let's face it, while Aaron Rodgers is out there playing in the woods or doing whatever he's doing in his retreat of darkness, yes, while he's doing that, is anybody going to really take a run for real at Derek Carr, awaiting the resurgence, the rebirth of Aaron Rodgers from the tent of darkness?
You know, that's interesting. Derek Carr worked out for the Saints 2 days in a row, but then said he would refuse a trade to them. So I'm assuming he is considering the Saints, just wanted to go there and have a fresh contract.
Yeah, I don't.
Didn't want to lose compensation of the new team he was going to.
I'm not exactly sure. Like New Orleans, Derek Carr.
I mean,
really funny.
But
Vegas.
Michael Thomas is about to get bought out because he's owed some astronomical number. Like if he's not cut by mid-March, so he's gonna be gone.
Derek Carr turns 32 in March. But here's the deal. Had Carr still been on Vegas's roster yesterday, his full $32.9 million salary for 23 would have become guaranteed, as would a $7.5 million of his $41.9 million salary for 2024. So they cut him. The Raiders are off the hook for the $40.4 million while taking a $5.6 million salary cap hit and freeing up $29 million in space. That is a lot. Any contract that Carr ultimately signs will then kind of, reset the market for him as he turns 32 years old. He played for a ton of head coaches. He needs some stability. Is that really going to be, the Saints? Is that going to be the best place? Is that going to be the best spot for Derek Carr, New Orleans? And if you're New Orleans, can you do anything before you find out what Aaron Rodgers is going to do? Because who would you rather have? You could have Derek Carr at 32 years old, who I think that he gets a little bit of a bad rap, much like his brother did, just because they didn't have the minute they had some success, some emails got leaked, and somehow John Gruden lost his job. And it felt like they were just starting to, they had the entire Antonio Brown saga that was taking place. They were just they were just a mess off the field when it felt like they were finally starting to, get some things figured out. They go get Devontae Adams, and now they're going to move on from Derek Carr, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess. But if you are a team like, let's say, for instance, the New York Jets, who wasted a pick on Zach Wilson, drafting the quarterback at 2, or not at 2, pardon me, that was where Malik Willis was supposed to get drafted to the Lions. My apologies, I forgot about that. But if you're the Jets, do you call Derek Carr, have a conversation with him, or do you wait on Aaron Rodgers? What about Jimmy Garoppolo? Where do you rank those 3 quarterbacks? I mean, at least Derek Carr's only missed 2 games due to injury in his entire career. That's a positive.
Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of that's a big risk.
Big risk. Not a lot of reward.
Yeah. So I think a team that should move ahead on Derek Carr is a team you somewhat alluded to, and that's Malik Willis's Tennessee Titans.
Ooh. Really?
Yeah. I think they need an upgrade at quarterback. I think Ryan Tannehill is done or in a buyout situation here soon. So I think Derek Carr would be a nice fit with the Titans.
That would be. I still can't believe they let AJ go like that. That's still.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a mess. But Derek Carr. What about a team like Carolina? That's pretty interesting. Because Carolina's a team that we thought that, okay, well, they deal away who they get rid of, Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
You start moving on, and it's like, okay, they're going to implode. Like, that team's going on a full-blown rebuild, like, see you later. And then all of a sudden, they were a little bit more competitive than what people thought.
They didn't fully implode, go into rebuild mode, because they still hung on to their young defensive talents, Brian Burns, Derek Brown, the D tackle. So it's like they were just getting rid of, like, hey, these guys have expiring contracts, and we probably have zero chance of re-signing. So we'll get rid of those. We need more of a kind of a reset than a full-blown rebuild.
Or a restore. A lot of good words
Restore
here.
Their roar.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot. Restore their roar. They can have a roar too. They're a big cat. But who do you, I mean, Jimmy G's out there, but we know that with his injury history, I just don't know what that really does. What are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to do? There's another question for you.
Well,
now
they could go in a completely different direction altogether. Lamar? Who knows? They don't even have an offensive coordinator. You don't know what they're going to run or anything now.
Yeah, they're in dire straits there after the rental of Tom Brady for a couple of years, but it did yield them a championship, so that's worth it. So Jets, Panthers, Saints, Buccaneers, and in the words of the great Brad Holmes, it's a whole lot easier to get worse at quarterback than it is to get better at quarterback. These teams right here, you take on a 32-year-old veteran. If there's a way to get him to take a little bit less, I mean, he's going to see what his market value is
as
really
you're
worth.
saying that as there are multiple teams actively trying to trade for, what, a 39-year-old veteran?
Yeah, that's coming with a massive, massive price tag in Aaron Rodgers. But can you move on Derek Carr if you're the Jets without knowing what Aaron Rodgers is going to do when he resurfaces here after his rebirth and his resurgence out of the darkness into the light? Will Aaron Rodgers even play football? And then if he decides he wants to, who's he going to play for? That's why I thought the Packers last year after that whole hullabaloo should have cut ties with him. Keep it moving. That way you can't hold your team hostage. Very, very interesting what happens next here at the quarterback, whether it's going to be in the draft, whether it's going to be a free agent. A lot of teams looking for a quarterback. Not a lot of good quarterbacks out there. Step aside. MLB has a plan because Rob Manfred is the man. We'll talk about that next year. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Bill Simonson here for my good friends at Bean Garter. Now, they're one of the top accounting and business firms in Michigan and all across the Midwest and America. They've also partnered with Dorn Mayhew on the east side of the state, and they are stronger than ever before. Just go to BeanGarter.com to find out more. That's BeanGartr.com. I also want to thank Tom Rosenbach and his team for their support during the Beat Huge contest from the fall of 2022 through the big game this past Sunday. We had thousands of entries all season long, and thanks to all of you who took part at thehugeshow.net, and we'll be announcing that winner during this week, and somebody's going to get $1,500 in cash from Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Garter. Find out more how they can help any business, big or small, all across the state of Michigan, all across the Midwest, and even coast to coast. Go to BeanGarter.com. That's BeanGarter.com.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Get a taste of sweet rewards, up to $5,000 cash. Every Friday in February from 7 to 11 p.m. Play for a chance to take home the chocolate bar with prizes from $1,000 premium play all the way up to $5,000 cash. Don't miss sweet rewards. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
listening to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Can't call in? Text us using the keyword sports radio and send it to 21000 or tweet us at XB Mornings. Now back to Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, and Anthony Bellino.
Hey, don't forget, folks, the NBA action is here all week long, and NBA fans, it's time to bring all that action to the palm of your hands with the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hopefully you didn't have Alabama and Tennessee, and you didn't take the number one team in the nation, the Crimson Tide, just like football. How about the Volunteers? Can't believe we haven't gotten a call from Knoxville this morning. Bill's Pollies are still partying. What a performance it was from the Volunteers. But DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet $5, win $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app right now. Use the promo code HUGE. New customers bet $5 on the NBA. Get $200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings, only using the promo code HUGE. 21 plus in most eligible states. Does vary by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario and Ohio. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in is required. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm seeing this come across the wire right now. Let's get to Freddie's text first. I want Jimmy G in Detroit as a backup so Anthony can interview him on the field on Sundays. I'm sorry, Derek Carr stinks. He is Jeff George at best. Wow. I don't interview any of the players on Sundays, so I wouldn't have to worry about that. So I'd be good there. But it'd be like, hey, the Jimmy Garoppolo standing by with Anthony Bellino. Who's who? And then we could just point at each other like the Spider-Man gif. Yeah, right. Okay. Wake up. Is Derek Carr Jeff George? I don't know. I don't know where Derek Carr where he falls in the ranking. What happens? I mean, the Ravens have until March 7th to use the franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. What's his future going to be? Like we got a lot of questions, a lot of guys floating around out there that might be better options for teams as they begin to look forward. Or do we look at teams that are, Mel Kiper has Will Levis from Kentucky as his number one ranked quarterback. Here we go. Sometimes I think like they just look for the guy that isn't the guy just to like a surprise, like a rabbit out of the hat. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's not go with the popular pick. Like, let's try to make this one like the sexy. I don't know why they do that. Also, there is a video, and I'll ask both of you fine gentlemen what you think about this. Carmel High School in Carmel, Indiana. Friend of mine, Chrissy Steffen, she went into the Carmel High School Hall of Fame because she holds the Indiana state record for most points in a state finals basketball game. So congrats to Chrissy Steffen. But Carmel High School in Indiana is going viral for its swanky amenities, they say, prompting a conversation about inequality in schools. Some viewers were impressed by the school's planetarium, natatorium, and more, while others noted that the school benefits from being in a wealthy area. One of the comments is we should
My
make
high school has a planetarium.
We should make more schools like this, period. All of them, period. My school has one facility that's their own, the gym, because it's attached to the actual building. That's it. We don't have a natatorium. We don't have a planetarium. We don't even have a football field or a soccer field. Both of those are rented in two different locations. The football field, Navarre Field, isn't even used by Monroe High School anymore. It's used by the junior varsity. Monroe High School has a brand new field turf field. Now, no offense to my boy Al. And I know my boy Al's listening right now. He's a faithful listener every day. He is one of the coaches there at Monroe High. Where are the state titles at? With the school that rents a football field. You know what the difference is? It's not the facilities. It's not our old bleeping textbooks or the fact that we have a higher GPA even though we use the 7-point scale. So, yes, a 92 is a B. It's the parents. It literally comes down to the parents. That's what it is. And I went to a school where I didn't realize that people didn't know this, that when you go to a small Catholic school, parents pay tuition. You don't get any state funding. None. Anything you have is due through fundraising and tuition. And a majority of those kids are getting some sort of scholarship assistance. What do you get?
Technically, your school does get public school food support. But yes, that's about it.
What does that mean, public school food support? I've never heard of that one. You could buy lunch at the cafeteria if you want.
That's what I'm saying.
Or bring a lunch.
Yes, my Catholic school was supported by Crestwood School District food. So, we would pay for the lunches, but Crestwood School District would deliver the lunches to St. Linus every day.
Just hearing too. Well, my Catholic school
I'm just saying.
this, and my Catholic school has
that.
Ours was delivered by Cisco.
To put it into perspective, we did not have a gymnasium. We didn't. We had a baseball field. But we played at St. Alphonsus for years on Warren and Schaefer.
A great name, St. Alphonse. Alphonse. The only Alphonse I knew was Capone. It's interesting. They anointed him to be a saint. That's pretty incredible. The difference is all in the parents. It's not the facility. I'm sure Carmel, Indiana has its fair share of wonderful children out there, like my friend Chrissy. I'm sure they also have their fair share of idiots. It's all a direct reflection of the parents.
Just have these parents Google McKinney, Texas High School, and then they'll realize that Carmel High School's not that big.
Yeah,
McKinney, Texas.
They're doing.
They have a
30,000 plus at a high school football game.
They have a football stadium, an actual stadium.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Like their attendance numbers are crazy.
It all depends how big your town is. Like the town I grew up in, there's 2 high schools. The high school is that special. Town over, 1 high school, it's ginormous. It's beautiful. It's great because all the money goes to just 1 high school. It's not split up like, whatever you do for this school, we got to do for the other.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, look, I mean, I said this one time, and boy, this caused a fight. But I'm like, look, if you are paying tuition, why isn't your tax dollar going into that school in which you're paying tuition for? Like, why not? What would be the issue there? If I choose to pay tuition to send my kid to X high school, why can't my tax dollars go to X high school? And the first thing you're going to hear is inequity or inequality or fairness. Fairness? Fair?
Well, I mean, that also depends. Like, in Michigan, there's school of choice. There's like, I'm not going to name names, but there's people that went to Inkster High School that lived on the other side of town. So they're in a different county even.
Yeah. We had that happen. We had a couple kids from, where were they? Might have been Romulus, not Romulus, E-Course. We had a couple students from E-Course that school of choice benefited, them to be able to come down.
Yeah, but that's Catholic school. I'm talking public school.
Right, even in public, there's that. Well, should the Catholic schools even play the public schools? It's like, well, what? I mean, some states actually divide that. I think New York is one of those states that divides the public school and the Catholic school, to see, for athletic purposes. But I look at that and I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter what kind of facilities you have. Some of the best baseball players in the world grow up swinging, broomsticks at bottle caps and playing on dirt fields, while our children here complain over their travel ball bats. It's like, dude, come on now. We do have a story coming from Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball. They showed the bases and they're bigger, and we talked about how Alex Cora said they look like pizza boxes. And they do. I mean, they're bigger. It's fine. Whatever. It's 4 inches closer. Will that generate more activity on the base paths? I don't know. We're getting rid of the shift. You got to have 2 guys on either side of second base. You got to make sure everybody's feet are in the dirt in the infield. None of this craziness where you're moving outfielders around and your infielders, you're pulling a guy over. Your third baseman's now standing where shortstop's at, and your shortstop's, kind of over top of second base, but sort of maybe kind of in the outfield then, and your second baseman's or maybe your shortstop's up in the dirt on second base while your second baseman has moved back into the outfield. You can't do any of that anymore. So there's a whole bunch of different rules that are going into play. We'll see what happens. You want to beat the shift, hit the ball the opposite way. You're a professional baseball player. You should be able to do that. It's a new rule. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep track of it.
Another new rule I'm excited for. Only 2 pickoff attempts per batter. There's a guy on base. I've heard pitchers already complaining about it. Like, well, if you do it twice on the third time, they can just run. It's like, it's a lot better than you thrown over 5 times in a row.
Amen to that.
Never throw over that second time then.
Yeah. You're the one to keep them close, and then they'll look over your shoulder. But an emphasis on the bulk as well this year.
Yeah,
so maybe this is all kind of coming together.
I saw somebody was showed like a balk that somebody did on purpose last week. Like, it was just like, hey, remember when this guy balked on purpose? And I was like, I don't know why you would ever balk on purpose. Who cares if the guy is taunting you at second base? Anyway, yeah, the bases, they're not that much bigger, people. Quit complaining. They laid one on top of the other. It looks almost exactly the same.
I mean, it's bigger, but at the same time,
it's an inch bigger around on every side, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to shorten the base paths by 4 total inches. Like that's what we're talking about. 4 inches. I haven't heard this much commotion over 4 inches since Moby was a minnow. Right? I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? The other big news, Rob Manfred allegedly has a plan. Now, I made a comment earlier in the show, and Ryan threatened me by saying, quote, would you like your access to have more problems this morning? I was highly threatened by that. Rob Manfred, in all of his wisdom, a lot of people, baseball fans, aren't huge fans of this gentleman. The Diamond Sports Group, which is a subsidiary of Sinclair, announced yesterday that it would skip February's $140 million interest-only payment and thus enter into their 30-day grace period that will more than likely lead them to a bankruptcy filing. This is all expected to this point, yet it is a big development throughout professional sports. MLB has 14 teams that pull revenue through RSN contracts with Diamond Sports Group. RSN, Regional Sports Network, Valley Sports, right? And so Rob Manfred was asked about this and said, quote, obviously, we want all of our broadcast partners to be successful. Okay. We don't want them to have financial difficulties, and we have been spending a lot of time and effort to work with them, figure out where they are. Obviously, our first choice would be that Diamond pay the clubs what they're contractually obligated to pay them. But because I guess I'm a contingency planner by nature, we are prepared no matter what happens with respect to Diamond to make sure that games are available to fans in their local markets. We think it will be both linear in the traditional cable bundle and digitally on our own platforms, but that remains to be seen. As I said, our first hope is that Diamond figures out a way to pay the clubs and broadcast the games like they're contractually obligated to do.
Oh my gosh, people. We're going to broadcast the games. I can promise you every Tigers game will be on the air this year. Okay? I just said in my availability, the games will be on television. Rob Manfred is a fear-mongerer. Get out of here.
Well, in the bankruptcy filing, this is what was supposed to happen, right? This is what we thought was going to happen with Diamond Sports Group when we first talked about this story like half a month ago or even longer, when it was first coming out. Like, yeah, here's an idea. As of the third quarter of 2022, Diamond Sports Group reported a net loss after accounting for interest payments of $1.2 billion. The company pays somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 billion in rights fees on an annual basis and made debt payments of about $415 million in the first 9 months of 2022. Here is an idea, and I'm just going to throw this out there. And I know that based upon people are going to look back at the Super Bowl and be like, viewership is higher than ever. Yes, football is an outlier, and there is a reason that football isn't available. It's only on, it's once a week. It's on CBS, it's on NBC, it's on Fox, and it's on Disney. And now it's on Amazon Prime, which those ratings plummeted because not everybody's equipped like that yet. And some people are just frustrated at it. And the game stunk. But maybe Rob Manfred, and here's an idea for all sports, because there is no way, I don't believe, I don't understand how this is possible, that we can continue to pay the salaries that we are paying for professional athletes. I just don't see how it's possible. Now, I don't know what the CEO of Diamond Sports Group makes. I don't know what the CFO, I don't know what any of those fund letters, what they make. And maybe it's, across the board, because in today's society,
I don't want people, this company that they're calling Diamond, like, this has not been around for long, people. This is a Sinclair thing that they created literally the second they bought the RSNs. People are talking about this like these people have been around for 25 years screwing this company, which is just not the case.
No, they're brand new. They're fledglings. They're just getting their feet under them.
Yeah, but people are acting like this is happening because Fox knew it was going to happen and they dumped it on somebody else.
And it wasn't even Big Fox. It was 21st Century Fox.
Exactly.
I didn't even know until reading into this that those were two different companies.
21st Century, yeah. Well, yeah. Uncle Rupert Murdoch basically said, told Disney, if you're buying 21st Century Fox, you're going to take all these channels that lose money. And then Disney said, we're going to dump these channels that lose money. And here we are.
Well, and the question is why are they losing money? That's the question. Because, I know it's been floated around from different people that, hey, look, maybe we have too much. Maybe there's the pregame and the postgame. I'm fine with the pregame and the postgame. If it's a half an hour show, like, what's the difference? It's not hurting anybody. You got plenty to be able to fill a half an hour show with what has taken place. But how do they continue to lose money? Let's face it, the contract is bad. The contract is bad. Like, the squeeze is on. When you start to have individual players making $20, $30, $40 million a year, it's just way too much. It's way too much. Like, the sports bubble at some point has to burst. It has to. If I'm Diamond Sports Group, my first call is going to be to the Saudis. Like, hey, you guys want to get in over here and advertise the line?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, how is the Premier League or, the Champions League, like, how are those funded? Because some of those guys are making stupid, outrageous money too.
Yeah, so that's a whole different.
I mean, is that, some billionaire saying, hey, I'm going to pay half this guy's salary if he's on our team? Like, I don't know. Like, an NIL type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, you're like, that's why the clubs that are at the top of the Premier League are always there, because there is no salary cap structure and ownership is on the hook for their payments. We'll step aside. We'll be back with more X's and Bros after this. Hour 3 next, Michigan Sports Network.
It's time to go on the court with Anthony Bellino.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com. Week 15 of the college basketball season and a new #1 in the country. As if Alabama needed anything else to be proud of after Nick Saban's destruction of college football, here comes the basketball team. For the first time in 20 years, Bama is #1 in the nation in the top 25 with 38 first-place votes and a 22-3 record. The head coach for Alabama is Nate Oates, the former Romulus head coach who compiled a 222-52 record, along with 5 state semifinals appearances and a Class A MHSAA state title in 2013. From Romulus, Oates was hired by Bobby Hurley. Yes, that Bobby Hurley at the University of Buffalo. And then when Hurley moved to Arizona State, Oates took over the head role for the Bulls. He'd lead Buffalo to a couple of NCAA tournament appearances before being hired by Alabama. A pretty cool Michigan tie for a guy who wins everywhere he goes.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Do it for the love of money. Saturdays in February, 7 to 11 p.m. Winners choose $3,000 in premium play, $1,500 cash, or 1,500 entries into the February 25th drawing for a Chevy Camaro ZL1. For the love of money $130,000 giveaway. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Bill Simonson here for my good friends at Bean Carter. Now, they're one of the top accounting and business firms in Michigan and all across the Midwest and America. They've also partnered with Dorn Mayhew on the east side of the state, and they are stronger than ever before. Just go to beancarter.com to find out more. That's BEENEGARTR.com. I also want to thank Tom Rosenbach and his team for their support during the Beat Huge contest from the fall of 2022 through the big game this past Sunday. We had thousands of entries all season long, and thanks to all of you who took part at thehugeshow.net, and we'll be announcing that winner during this week, and somebody's going to get $1,500 in cash from Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Carter. Find out more how they can help any business, big or small, all across the state of Michigan, all across the Midwest, and even coast to coast. Go to beancarter.com. That's BEENEGARTR.com.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Gets Benny Bey to
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker! Kenneth Walker! Touchdown! Spotty!
Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Ends up.
Yes!
Caught! Touchdown to Kirk Irons! They did it! Amon-Ra St. Brown on the receiving end!
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here! A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you right along with us. No matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. We say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. Of course, we encourage you to join the program at any time. Text the keyword Sports Radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports Radio to 21000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176. 248-951-2176. Let's get to Freddie, who's on hold. Wants to talk about the new bases.
Good morning, Anthony Bellino. How are you, sir?
Good morning, our friend Freddie. Happy Thirsty Thursday.
You as well. I woke up with such a positive attitude today. I'm so happy, and I just wanted to, first of all, I want to talk about the bases, but I got to do a little cleanup on aisle 3, if you don't mind. First of all, hello to the state of Michigan. I hope everyone's well. Even you in Ohio, we love you in Ohio. We love the Ohio State Buckeyes. We love Ohio. We love Toledo. What do you call that, the Glass City? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's the nickname for the city, the Glass City.
The Glass City. Gotcha. Any reason why they call it the Glass City?
Yeah, Libby Glass. They were the world. I don't know if it's the world's number 1 manufacturer in terms of actual glass and glass products.
So, and hello to you, Will. You as well. One day you'll call when you have an opinion. Now, you know, you brought up Nate Oates. I want to do a little cleanup on aisle 3.
Okay.
How about Nate Oates? We bring him back home. We bring him back to the University of Michigan, or we bring him to the Detroit Pistons. Which one would you rather have Nate Oates at?
Probably the Pistons.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would like that too. I would like to see that as well. Now,
that'd be a pretty cool rise from high school coach to professional coach. I think that'd be kind of fun.
But you know who else? You know who else did that and won a national championship, right? In our own backyard.
Who's that?
Come on now. You cover the school.
Who is it?
They just named the tunnel after him.
Who is it?
You don't know who your tunnel's named after?
Go ahead. Tell us. Enlighten us.
Lloyd Carr.
Lloyd Carr. National
John
championship
Glenn.
winning coach. That's right.
Yes, exactly. Riverview, John Glenn. Absolutely. Our backyard. He was a great coach. Absolutely. Lastly, before I get to the bases, first of all, the Jimmy G thing, I think it's brilliant. Okay? Anthony Bellino and Jimmy G in the state of Michigan horrifying women. Could you imagine? Not horrifying. I'm talking about there would be no women left. There would be no women left in the state of Michigan. So
I'm a man of God, Freddie. I'm a man of God. All right,
and he lives in Ohio.
I'm a minister. Would you please? I'm a minister of the Lord, for God's sakes. And it's Toledo's abundant natural gas and high silica content sandstone led the New England Gas Company to relocate there in 1888, and it is the glass capital of the world.
Well, I would just say if Jimmy G comes here, hold on tight to your woman, because Anthony Bellino and Jimmy G in the same room, you just better watch out. And
if you got a woman and she's willing to leave you for myself or Jimmy G, we probably don't want her anyway.
If you got a woman,
she's low character.
She's
low
probably
morals.
not. She's probably not Jimmy style.
You got a woman, she might. Never mind. I'm just gonna let that one go. Let it slide. All right, what do you got for us?
And plus, we'd have two quarterbacks that took teams to the Super Bowl. How about that? So now you and Ryan, have your little cute, little fun. I love it. Listen, I'm a big boy. I can take it. Keep talking Malik Willis and Zach Wilson. But, the difference between Anthony and Ryan will torch the Lions. See, Anthony won't. He'll just keep praising Jeff Okudah, give him all the praise. But, other guys, they can't make mistakes. But at least I know Ryan will torch the Lions.
Who can't make mistakes?
Well, Jeff Okudah, because, he plays for the Lions. You can't say anything. But
he had a really nice season this year until the end of the year.
Real nice. Yeah, he got benched.
He got benched.
He sat.
And then he got injured in the last game. Didn't play the last game of the year due to injury, but he got benched in his final 2 appearances.
Yeah, he must live in Ann Arbor. He sat on one of those benches. So, anyways, the bases. Let me ask you this question. Now, is there a reason why? Did they explain why they made the bases bigger? And would you be open if they put advertising on those bases?
Player safety, right? Everything is in the name of player safety. So the reason they did that is because their hope is that if the base is bigger, that will lead to less collision at the actual base itself. And think about like a first baseman not getting stepped on by a runner because there's a larger target for them. Also, it shortens up the distance between the base paths, so maybe they'll get, because the base is larger, it'll be a better opportunity to steal because you'll have a larger bag to touch, and it'll be closer. But yeah, player safety was the initial reason as to why they were going to enlarge the bases.
But don't you think what they're really saying is they want more scoring, which will affect the ERAs of a lot of these pitchers in the long run, and mess up records and all that? Because if they can get on base more, you're going to score more runs. I think that's what what Major League Baseball wants,
I think they definitely want more activity on the base paths. They want more guys on base. They want more. I think that's why they implemented the shift rule, because they want more guys to get on base, right? And by shifting, you're adding more defenders to one side of the field, playing the numbers game. Statistically, if you're gonna, let's say you're a pull hitter, right? And I'm going to shift everybody over to third base because you're going to pull it on over there. I have a higher opportunity of getting you out by adding that extra defender and strategically placing them there. I think we'll see more outfielders coming up. I think we'll see more outfielders shifting more. Maybe you bring that right fielder up and put that center fielder a little bit more over the top, and then the left fielder is going to have like all of planet Earth to cover on that side of the field. But I think that is how defenses will say, okay, if we can't shift our infielders, they got to stay in the dirt. We got to have 2 on either side of the bag. We're going to put our shortstop as close to that second base as possible. It's going to be like a miniature shift on the infield, or we're going to start to manipulate our outfielders a little bit. But there will be a defensive combatant to this for sure.
Well, what would you say the advertising on the bases? Would you be up for that?
Could you see it?
Well, yeah,
Could you see it, or would you have to have something in the contract that says we have to show first base X amount of times throughout the course of the game because you have to see, Freddie the Pizza Man's logo on first base?
Here's an idea.
Uh-oh.
Who said it? What if didn't somebody say it looked like a pizza box?
That's why I said Freddie the Pizza Man.
What if you just made it a pizza box? Like a company paid for it just looked like a Little Caesars pizza box.
No, that'd be like saying who uses like a lime green logo. Like, let's say LimeWire was still around. They sponsored the NBA. We're not trotting out there with a lime green
Cricket
basketball.
Wireless?
Cricket Wireless. We're not using the Cricket Wireless Spalding. No, absolutely not, Dan. Take your sponsorship somewhere else.
I would say a picture of 2 pork chops and put Danny's Fine Foods on the bottom. That's what I would do. So
we hardly do any advertising, Freddie.
Hey, trust me, I know. I understand that very well. You don't have to. When you're the best, you don't have to advertise. Just like Jimmy G. When you're the best, you don't have to advertise.
Yeah, he might need a PR firm to do some advertising to get this next deal.
Have a good day, guys. Go Lions.
All right, there he goes. Go Lions. Yeah, I have no problem criticizing Jeff Okudah. He had a better season than his first 2. In the second one, he was injured. Like, come on. Ain't no problem criticizing him. None at all. We'll step aside. We'll come back. USDA Scott wants to talk about school funding. We'll be back with that next year. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Do it for the love of money. Saturdays in February, 7 to 11 p.m. Winners choose $3,000 in premium play, $1,500 cash, or 1,500 entries into the February 25th drawing for a Chevy Camaro ZL1. For the love of money, $130,000 giveaway. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you ride along with us. No matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, text the keyword sports radio, send it to 21,000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176, 248-951-2176. USDA Scott is on hold in the Meyer Supercenter guest line. Scott, I got a question for you real quick. You there?
I'm here.
Okay, here's my question. On Tuesday, we had the aftermath of what took place, the tragedy there in East Lansing. Somebody called in and said the United States is the safest country in the world. Was that you?
Yes.
Okay, so I did some research because when you said it, the first thing that came to my mind was the Donald Trump gif. Wrong. But I just wanted to clarify. Currently, according to U.S. U.S. News and Review, number 47 in the world is the United States as far as safety. I mean, we have multiple shootings every day of the week here.
And the 46 countries that are before us.
Well, here, let me give you some. Let me give you some.
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you something.
46 countries ahead of us are either socialist, communist, or you want to get into politics with me?
Socialist,
communist,
it's wrong. Scott, that's wrong. Scott, that's wrong. That's not even close. Let's go through it. Just real quick. Let me just help you out here. Switzerland, communist.
You're wasting my time here.
I'm not, Scott. Oh, but hold on. It's like that'd be like saying that the best quarterback in the NFL is.
And then you throw Trump at me.
Well, yeah, I had to just make sure that you could visualize what I was going through in my mind. Wrong. You know the GIF, right? Switzerland, Denmark, New Zealand, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Canada, the Netherlands, Austria, Australia, Belgium, Ireland, Luxembourg, Portugal, Germany, Japan, Spain, Italy, the
don't
UK,
even add up to as many people as we have.
Greece, Poland, Singapore, France, Croatia, Hungary, Czechia, the United Arab Emirates, Estonia, Qatar, of all places, Latvia, South Korea, Slovenia, Lithuania, Slovakia.
I think Scott probably meant safety as in from attack from a foreign nation, I would imagine, is what he meant.
That's exactly what I meant. Thank you. I meant that, we haven't had an invasion on our soil. Well, I guess 9/11 was an invasion of some type. But
yeah, it's not an invasion.
No, there's just and now Biden's balloons. You want to throw out politics? I guess I'll throw that out at you. But I don't want to talk politics with you today.
Well, I just want to clarify that we weren't even close to being the safest place. That's all I wanted to double check on.
I wanted to talk school funding and the reasoning behind schools like Carmel, Indiana, or places. Well, guess what? Indianapolis did something Grand Rapids did years and years ago. The Grand Rapids, the OK conferences over here, Ottawa and Kent County. It covers Muskegon, it covers Holland and Grand Rapids and Kentwood. I mean, the whole thing. Well, it used to be separated into just public school, private school. Used to be. Kind of like the Detroit PSL, Detroit, how some of that's lined up. But about, I'm going to say 15, 18 years ago, they decided to just put everybody together. And our city schools like Muskegon, who has tremendous, they don't have a lot of money, but they have tremendous facilities because there's donations that come in. We're fortunate over here. We have the Meyer family, we have the DeVos family, we have the Kochs, the Van Andels, there's a lot of people who dump money into schools. I mean, there's probably 15 Fred and Lena Meyer soccer fields and football fields in our area around here. So that's a very fortunate thing. But Indianapolis, as a big city, did that about 12 years ago, and they're experiencing the same thing where more donations are going to, how would you say it, not down-parvish, a little less economically sound areas. I don't know how you would put that, but they've benefited from just grouping everybody and having all the suburban schools and the city schools. They separate and put them in different conferences. And it's really, really worked. I mean, you go around here, come to a couple football stadiums, go to Granville High School, and it looks like Grand Valley State. It's just amazing what money that people will put in to support schools if everybody is equal.
Yeah, and my whole point was that, Carmel, Indiana can have these great facilities, and they've got some pretty good programs as well. But at the end of the day, if you have a friend of mine teaches in Detroit Public Schools, she had 4 parents show up for parent-teacher conferences, and newsflash, surprise, all 4 of those kids are all-A students. That was my whole point. It doesn't matter. You can have great facilities if you're not starting at home base. If our parenting isn't good, if there isn't emphasis at home.
No, you're missing some of the point. Some of these kids that used to go to Grand Rapids Catholic Central, South Christian, some of these places where their parents lived downtown, their families were from downtown, but they'd go to the private schools. Mm-hmm. A lot of those good kids, including education, including highly educated kids. I mean, if a school gets more funding, then Meyer family, DeVos family, they don't just dump money into sports programs. They dump money into the libraries and helping to build auditoriums, so the fine arts are more advantageous for kids to stick around there too. So it gives the whole meaning of philanthropy a real boost when somebody can just not donate to the school that their kids go to, but they donate to. Some of these people have billions of dollars. A $5 million soccer field is like you and I donating $100 to our local charity.
Even then, I'm clutching my pearls. But no, you do raise a very good point. And for as you mentioned, some of the families that are out there, especially the Meyer family, Doug Meyer and company, that's to be able to have that ability and to be able to reinvest it into your communities and really, statewide is, that's putting your money to good use.
Oh, it's huge.
No doubt.
It's what, and you know what? For the most part, the people with big money like that, they do those things. They get a bad rap sometimes. Even owners of these sports teams. Mark Cuban donates his time and millions and millions of dollars every year. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I'm a huge fan of him taking care of people.
I was going to bring that up, Scott. There's nobody on this side of the state that is exactly into the helping the youth, at least openly. When I was a kid, and probably 40 years before that, there was Adre Appliance, and they literally supported every little league, in Wayne County. I'm pretty sure, T-shirts. It was insane. Everybody played for Adre Appliance. There's nothing like that on the east side of the state anymore.
I go back all the way to the Chryslers and the Fords donate. They used to donate locally. When I would have went to Redford High School, and if my family would have stayed there. But
where'd you grow up, Scott?
Huh?
What road you grow up at?
What road?
What roads were you at? Like, if you were going to go to Redford, do you know?
No, I was 11 when we left. I was right on the border on Redford and Livonia, if you know that area.
That's where I grew up.
Okay, well, that's where I grew up. But no, I mean, I would have stayed in Redford. The last my junior and senior year, they had no sports because too many shootings. But that's neither here nor there. We pretend like these shootings things never happened. It's just that. Back in the day, it was usually kids that did it. But anyway,
we got to hit the break, Scott. We'll be back with more X's and Bros after this here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Do it for the love of money. Saturdays in February, 7 to 11 p.m. Winners choose $3,000 in premium play, $1,500 cash, or 1,500 entries into the February 25th drawing for a Chevy Camaro ZL1. For the love of money, $130,000 giveaway. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
From planting a simple seed to managing a global food supply, growing, processing, and distributing food is the backbone of America. You deal with food safety and labor issues, cost control, and not to mention Mother Nature. But do you have time to explore research development and biotechnical tax credits? Properly administer payroll for temporary employees. Ensure that you're operating at your most profitable? That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is America's food supply, our business is helping you run your business better. We'll assist with tax credits, assess your processes and controls, and so much more. And while we may not be able to help you plant your crops, we can help you realize a rich financial harvest. From the family farm to worldwide distribution of all the things you grow, grow your business better. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online, beangarter.com. Bean Garter.
Share your thoughts all morning long on the Meyer guest line. Call 248-951-2176. That's 248-951-2176. Now, back to Danny, Ryan, and AB.
Hey, folks, a reminder. Swag and surf your way over to DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the association. This week, new customers bet $5 to win $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE, promo code HUGE only at DraftKings, where new customers can bet $5 on the association, get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings, only using promo code HUGE. 21 plus in most eligible states. Age does vary by jurisdiction. Void to our friends in Ontario and in Ohio. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in is required. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. You got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. It's Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke. I'm Anthony Bellino. Welcome back here to X's and Bros. Joining us now, talking about the Detroit Lions and covering them for the pride of Detroit, our good friend Jeremy Reisman. Jeremy, my man, what's going on? Happy Thirsty Thursday to you, my friend. How are you, partner?
I'm doing well, Anthony. Good to hear from you. How you been?
I'm really good, actually. I'm fantastic at this juncture of the day because it feels like we have survived an off season in which, coming off of the 2022 season for the Detroit Lions, we thought that maybe we would see some of our coaching staff members get poached, and we actually survived relatively unscathed.
Yeah. And it's nice, too, because it does feel like things are just kind of getting started here, and to kind of lose big chunks of that coaching staff that have been so critical to the turnaround this early in the rebuild and the renaissance, whatever you want to call it, would have been maybe not a killer step back, but it would have been a step back that they would have had to recover from. So it's certainly nice to see a lot of friendly faces come back.
You know, I really did feel like Ben Johnson, when the interviews were first getting started, we knew that Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, because of the success that this defense had in the second half under AG and Ben Johnson, and how this offense was just putting up 30 points basically on command, it did kind of feel like, okay, one of them's going to leave, like, at some point. And then Ben Johnson decided that, hey, I'm not going to take any more interviews. I'm gonna go back. I don't know what really spawned that, what was the real reason behind that, but, basically saying out loud that I want to finish kind of what we started here. That being the first domino to fall, I felt really, really secure. Even if the Lions would have lost defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, I did feel confident with Ben Johnson at least coming back that there would be head coach and one of the coordinators there. I felt like, from a stability standpoint, that was really a step in the right direction first.
Oh, yeah. That was huge. Getting Ben Johnson, I think, was maybe the biggest offseason move they're going to make all year. And that might even include the first-round picks in the draft, honestly. He's been so critical to what the Lions have been able to do offensively. And it really started in 2021, right, when he kind of took an elevated role once the Lions moved on from Anthony Lynn. And, you can just see it. You can see his impact on some of the brilliant plays that he calls, on some of the fun trick plays that work. You don't know how much is necessarily him with the improvement of Jared Goff. You have to give Goff obviously a lot of credit to that, but I think there was also concern there too, where, Goff had a breakout season. Would he continue to have that sort of success if Ben Johnson wasn't there? So luckily we won't need to know that answer, at least this year. I think, he had a really good interview with Tim Twentyman this week and talked about some of the reasons why he came back and why Detroit felt so special to him. He mentioned how he was at a Garth Brooks concert at Ford Field and was like, this is a crazy atmosphere. It's going to be this crazy when the Lions finally get a home playoff game. And that seems to kind of be a running theme with a lot of these coaches. Like they sense that Detroit is on the verge of something special, that the city has been starving for a good football team, and they want to see it through and see what happens when they get there.
And that's such a beautiful thing, and because the energy was palpable this season. You were there, You saw it, you could feel it, you heard the noise. It's like the Jacksonville game. The crowd got quiet, and my boss is looking at me down on the field, and he's going, "What do you think it is?" I was like, "I think people are just shocked that this game is so out of hand, that we're not used to bludgeoning people like this. We are just taking them to the woodshed." And then we had this Cardinals vacancy that finally, I think maybe everybody can, collectively exhale as they hire Jonathan Gannon, So we should be all set now. Everybody comes back. Aaron Glenn returns. He might be somewhat personally disappointed, but at the same time sort of excited that he gets the opportunity to continue to build what they have going on in Detroit as well. When you looked at Aaron Glenn in some of the interviews that he got in the potential of him leaving, what this means for this defense moving forward that just took a huge step in that second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about stability, right? And consistency, and that's what you need on defense. That's what you really need on every part of the game. And bringing him back is huge. I know he still very much has a lot to prove as an offensive coordinator. I don't think the defense, even by the end of the season, is where they want it to be. But Aaron Glenn has said it multiple times. He wants to be the best he wants to be the best coordinator, I think he said, in Detroit Lions history. And listen, last year it felt like a transition year, because I know a lot of people say, well, it was year 2, like he should have built upon year 1. But one thing that him and Dan Campbell kept reiterating to the media was that defense in 2022 was nothing like the defense in 2021. There was really only 2 starters carried over from year 1 to year 2, and that was Alex Anzalone and Ali McNeil. Everyone else around them was new. And so now you're entering 2023, and, you probably expect 7, 8, or 9 of those guys back, if not more. And so that sort of stability is going to help Aaron Glenn, I think. And I think Aaron Glenn sticking around and kind of running the same defense and all those young players on defense, knowing what's expected of them. The consistency works on both sides, right? It helps Aaron Glenn and it helps the players. And so I think it's reasonable to expect, at the very least, for them to pick up where they were when they left off at the end of last season. Because you're right, like they made a big, significant turnaround there. Carolina game excluded, that helped them win games. I mean, they held Aaron Rodgers to 9 points in the first game, and how much was it in the finale? I think they only scored 1 touchdown in that game. So it really was a promising end of the season, and now that most of the pieces are coming back, I think you can expect them to hit the ground running in 2023.
Jeremy, when that news came out, and by the way, if you're not following him already, what are you doing with your life? Visit him on Twitter, Detroit Online, and then argue with him there about why you should be the GM of the Detroit Lions. We love that kind of stuff on Twitter. But, Jeremy, I look at the loss that this staff did have, and that was Deuce Staley. And for Deuce Staley to go to Carolina, I don't know the full background story. I know that there is a family member with some health issues. He he grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, so he can be closer to his mother. He played at USC, no, not the Trojans, but the other USC, the Gamecocks, before having a decade-long run there with the Philadelphia Eagles. Frank Reich and he worked together before in Philadelphia as a part of that Super Bowl title 2017 season. He goes to Carolina. It kind of felt shocking, but it also kind of felt like the Lions staff knew that there was something greater than football going on here. So, yeah, go have a conversation. If you want to go, you can go.
Yeah, and that felt like a very classy move from the Lions, and I think most franchises would do something similar. But he takes a completely lateral move. He's basically the same title that he had here in Detroit. He's assistant head coach, running backs coach, and you have to imagine that most of that decision was spurned by the family issue. And I don't want to get too much into that. It's obviously a personal issue for him, but it seemed like he had a classy exit. Taylor Decker spoke on a local podcast and mentioned how he called everyone on the offense individually and told them the situation. And, he was just as committed to seeing this turnaround, I think, in Detroit as anyone on that coaching staff. But sometimes there are more important things in football. And so good on the Lions for letting him go, and good on Deuce to making sure that his priorities are straight. And, I do think the Lions got quite a replacement in Scotty Montgomery, a guy who is will be an offensive coordinator, I think, in this league, coming from the Colts, where he obviously did a phenomenal job with guys like Jonathan Taylor, and has the experience as a former player too. So he kind of checks all the boxes of what the Lions look for in that position. And so now, if you do lose Ben Johnson, I know we've all kind of been circling Tanner Engstrom as the guy who's going to take over as offensive coordinator. When Ben Johnson eventually leaves, I think the Lions have another option now in Scotty Montgomery, and it looks like, he's staying after. I know he was in competition for the Bucs offensive coordinator job. Last year he was a finalist for the Panthers offensive coordinator job, I believe. So this guy has a very bright future, and so you're definitely going to miss Deuce. He has quite the relationship with a lot of players in those locker rooms, but you hope that Scotty Montgomery can come in and build some relationships pretty quickly himself.
Jeremy, do you believe, staying in the running backs room, do you think that the Lions make a move here, whether in free agency or at the draft, to maybe change that room around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first decision has to be made on Jamal Williams, and I think everyone's expectation is that he's going to come back just because there's obviously going to be a lot of mutual interest. He meant so much to the leadership in that room, and obviously he performed on the field too, right? Sets the franchise record for rushing touchdowns in season, crosses over 1,000 yards for the first time in a while in this franchise. But beyond that, like, yeah, there has to be at least a thought about looking towards the future because DeAndre Swift rookie contract is coming to an end after this upcoming season. And at this point, I don't know if the expectation would be to re-sign him. So you have to start looking. You don't necessarily have to make the move this year. Running back is one of those positions where you can make an immediate impact. So if you want to run it back with the crew you had last year, I think you could. But the Lions have a lot of draft capital, and there are some interesting names in this draft class. So I'd be surprised if they dive into free agency this year, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them potentially draft a guy either on, day 2 or day 3.
Now, speaking of free agency, we can go there next before we go into the draft. Is there a guy or a position that you believe that the Lions should take a look at within this free agent class upcoming that you think would be a nice addition to this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the conversation has to start at corner. I always kind of go by the idea of free agency is to make sure that you don't have to reach in the draft, make it so that you have playable starters at every single position, and that's not always easy to do. But I think the Lions are starting to get in a position where they can knock out pretty much all their needs in free agency and then just go into the draft and go, hey, let's just go for the best player available. And you look at the Lions roster right now, and corner is, I think, by far the biggest concern. You don't really know where you are with Jeff Okudah, who essentially got benched towards the end of last year. Outside of that, you really only have Jerry Jacobs and Chase Lucas signed to the roster. So you got to get it figured out there. I think you need to add at least one starter, maybe even a nickel starter in free agency. I don't necessarily have any particular names in mind yet, but I think that's a position you really have to look at. Depending on who you bring back, I think maybe defensive tackle is another position you need to look at. I know a lot of people are circling Daron Payne as a potential target. He's going to be pretty expensive, but he is young, and he does bring a lot of disruption up the middle of the defensive line, which is something the Lions have been missing for quite some time. So I think those are probably the two positions you at least circle and say, hey, let's see what we can do in free agency to kind of ease up our big board when it comes to draft day. But yeah, no, I don't have any specifics yet that are my guys necessarily.
And anytime somebody says going to be pretty expensive, I'm like that Dave Chappelle gif where he's got the crown on his head and he's holding all his money and he doesn't want to. That's how it's not even my money, it's collectively our cap space. So I get
right.
We start talking about expensive. We start talking about $10 million or more a year. I start panicking. I'm looking at numbers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what about signing bonuses? How do we make all this work? Another guy, money wise, that they're going to have to look at. You already mentioned Jamal Williams, mutual interest there. What about a guy like DJ Chark?
Yeah, and I'm just kind of working on a piece on him because that's another, I think, really.
Ooh, it's a teaser, folks. Got to stay tuned. PrideOfDetroit.com.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation. He really kind of shined towards the end of last season and brought a dimension to the game that the Lions have been missing in the deep ball, and it really started to show up at the end of the last season. But at the same time, you got Jameson Williams waiting in the wings, and he's also going to bring that dimension to your offense. And so you have to wonder. First, you have to wonder how much DJ is going to be looking for, right? They gave him $10 million last year, and they're actually going to incur about $6 million of that cap hit this year from the way the contract was structured. And so if he's asking to be a lot, I mean, the Lions are kind of deep at the position right now. You got guys that can contribute in Josh Reynolds, in Amon-Ra, in Jameson Williams, and even Khalif Raymond. And so, you want as many weapons as you can. I don't think you can really – it's almost like edge rusher, right? As many – passing threats in the league in the way it's played right now, the more you can get, the better. But it's going to be a crowded room. So I haven't personally made a decision on what I want yet, but I think it's maybe one of the more difficult decisions they'll have because he's also a good culture fit, right? He's a guy that also wants to be back, but he's a guy that's also dealt with injuries. And so can you trust that? I don't think they can afford to bring him back on a $10 million deal like they did last year. But I think there will be mutual interest if it can be a much more affordable deal. But I don't know if that's what DJ is looking for at this point in his career. He's probably nearing the part of his career where he has maybe one or two more paydays in his career, and so maybe he wants to cash in.
You can't knock him for it either. You know, if somebody wants to pay me $10 million, I'm headed out there. Where are we going? I'll go to the Yukon territory if you need me to. Whatever I got to do to make that $10 million, I'm out the door. All right, Jeremy. When we look forward to the draft, a lot of mock drafts out there. You know, Mel Kiper's going to be out there. He's going to have all the hair. He's going to be talking about length, coach's kid, all that good stuff. Sneaky, athletic, quick twitch. It's another buzzword for you. Outside of all of that, I know Mel's already said Will Levis is his number one quarterback. We are going to take phone calls on why the Lions should take quarterback with their first pick from we've already been taking them. So it's just going to continue on. It's going to happen. I don't subscribe to that. Where are you with the two Detroit Lions draft picks in that first round? If they stay where they're at 6 and 18, what direction would you like to see them go?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easy answer is defense. Get as many playmakers as you can on that side of the ball. You certainly added a couple last offseason, and we saw that make its impact towards the end of last year. James Houston and Hayden Hutchinson were a terror, and so maybe now you fix up that back end. If you don't get the guys that you want in free agency, the Lions, like I said, I mean, they not only need current starters as cornerbacks, they need guys for the future because again, you got Jeff Okudah and his 5th-year option decision coming in May. And who else do you really trust there to be the long-term guy? Jerry Jacobs is a great story, but I don't know if his ceiling is number one cornerback. So again, that remains kind of a main need. I will say, and not to drum up the light up the phone lines here, I do think quarterback at least has to be in consideration here. Because and nothing against Jared Goff, but eventually you're either going to have to pay him in the next 2 years or decide to move on from him. And so you're in a good spot here where if you think that game, that franchise-changing quarterback is in this draft class, and I'm not saying there is or isn't, you have to consider it. And it's a tough decision. It's going to be an unpopular decision by some people's measures. And I, you hate to bring up the biggest exception to the rule or the biggest name, but the Lions almost do kind of find themselves in that Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation where, yeah, they look pretty good right now. But is Jared Goff the elite level of quarterback in this league? I think most people would agree the answer is no there. So if there is one available, I don't think there's anything wrong with at least entertaining that idea. That being said, I'm fully in the bag of getting defense right now. I don't know if that guy is going to be there at 6. I don't know if that elite talent is going to be there at 18. I know Anthony Richardson is a popular name, and I'm not quite convinced of that yet. So I like the corners in this draft. I think there's going to be multiple options, whether it's at 6 or 18. And then, at some point they're going to have to address guard as well. I think they're bringing all their starters back, but you have to wonder about the future of someone like Vaitai. 18 might be a little early for guard, but it's also, if you want the best one in the class, I think 18 is maybe a spot that you at least consider it.
Jeremy Reisman with a couple of teases there, right? He dangled the article, and then the big carrot there for quarterback, just to reel you in. Find him on Twitter at Detroit Online. Jeremy, my friend, is always partner. Thank you so much for your time waking up with us this morning, my man. We greatly appreciate it.
No problem, Anthony. Appreciate you.
There he goes. For Dana, Ryan, and Anthony, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place here on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
There's more to love for less at Meijer. Pick up mouth-watering certified Angus beef boneless New York strip steak and pair it with farm fresh peach or raspberry bubbly Moscato. Get 30% off select Valentine's Day candles and set the table with a 3-rose arrangement. Don't forget the sweets. Buy one, get one 25% off Valentine's candy. Find everything you need for a tasty, love-filled Valentine's Day with just one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Do it for the love of money. Saturdays in February, 7 to 11 p.m. Winners choose $3,000 in premium play, $1,500 cash, or 1,500 entries into the February 25th drawing for a Chevy Camaro CL1. For the love of money $130,000 giveaway. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
If you or your family is touched by autism, learn more about Freddy's Foundation at #PopTheTap at FreddyThePizzaman.com. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com, or email FreddyThePizzaman@gmail.com.
Bill Simonson here for my good friends at Bean Garter. Now, they're one of the top accounting and business firms in Michigan and all across the Midwest and America. They've also partnered with Dorn Mayhew on the east side of the state, and they are stronger than ever before. Just go to BeanGarter.com to find out more. That's BeanGartr.com. I also want to thank Tom Rosenbach and his team for their support during the Beat Huge contest from the fall of 2022 through the big game this past Sunday. We had thousands of entries all season long, and thanks to all of you who took part at thehugeshow.net, and we'll be announcing that winner during this week, and somebody's going to get $1,500 in cash from Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Garter. Find out more how they can help any business, big or small, all across the state of Michigan, all across the Midwest, and even coast to coast. Go to BeanGarter.com. That's BeanGarter.